Hi YouTube, it's Beck here from Curated. I wanted to share with you some things that I've picked up in the last month or so. I've picked up some really beautiful vintage bits and pieces, but I've also been at the Sydney Craft and Quilt Fair where I had a stall, and that was my last video. I showed what was going on. I picked up some stuff there, which I'm going to share first, and then I'm going to share other kind of things that I've picked up and try and give you as much sourcing and pricing information as I can. Now note, when I buy vintage textiles, if I'm buying for myself, I'm happy to pay more than I'm happy to pay if I'm sourcing it to including kits. And, you know, that's obviously because I can't afford to make any profit on the kits I put together if I've purchased too high. Anyway, first thing I'm going to show you is two books that I picked up. And the first one is Unsung by Kate Sobrano. Now, I shared a picture of Sarah from Roxy Creations and I with Kate Sobrano. She was so lovely. Sarah told me she was lovely, showed me her book, and I needed a book, of course, too, partly because I just love her autograph on there. So I didn't realise, like, obviously she's creative, she's a singer, but how creative she is. I'm loving the words that she's written, not only what they say, but the way they look. And so I purchased the book as well because I was fangirling Kate Sobrano, so now I have the book. And the other book that I purchased from the quilt show is this slow stitch book from Batsford, and this one's written by Claire Wellesley Smith. So I have not had a chance to have a good look at it, but given that I'm loving slow stitch so much at the moment, I thought it might be a lovely one to kind of read and look at. It's just a little quick kind of flip through of it. So they're the two books that I picked up from the Sydney Craft and Quilt Fair. And I didn't, to be fair, I didn't get very much because I was busy. So the Scissor Man is always at those kind of shows. And I just got, look, this mixed pack of little scissors, $25, partly because I like to have them for when we're teaching slow stitch things at the shop. Or like when we're making horsewhips or whatever, sometimes people forget scissors. We're generally just cutting threads at that point, so they're really good for those, and they're just like for the table. And then I can't find none of my wholesalers at the moment, and none of the shops either, so I suspect lots of people having the same thing, same problem. I cannot find Alpha rotary blades, so I got these ones also from the Scissor Man. They said that they were good value. They're really good. There was 4 of them for $30, which is a pretty good price. And they are titanium plated, so meant to last a long time. I'm not going to be letting Em near one anytime soon after her poor finger got cut to pieces. It didn't get cut to pieces, but it is still recovering. So they were from the Scissor Man books, one from Kate Sobrano, one from Bookshop. And then I bought 2 little stitching panels. Now this one is from Maytime Distributors. And it's just, I don't know, I just thought it was very sweet. I like the pink linen. It's quite textured, which I really liked. Just thought I'd have a go at that. That was $18. And then I also purchased from BB Bold this stamped linen woodland mushrooms, which looks like sorry. I am a sucker for mushrooms, or toadstools. So I was pleased to pick that up, and I think Sarah picked one of those up too. So 2 little stitching panels. And then the last thing I picked up was from Hatched and Patched, and I purchased some of their hand-dyed felted wool. So I normally use Sewbecurated. I just thought I'd have a go with this and see what they're like. I imagine these are blankets that have been repurposed and dyed, and they're from Hatched and Patched, which is a Australian shop. She used to have a physical shop, but I think she's only online now. So they're all the purchases I did at the Sydney Craft and Quilt Fair, but we were busy, so, you know, that's more indicative of the time that I had. Sorry, I was wrong. I got some more things at the Sydney Craft and Quilt Fair. At that fair, there was also a stall by the Sewing Basket, which is a sewing op shop that Australia has. And often they have things that are really good value. And I happened to get 2 tins. I got this one first, and then they kind of restocked during the times. And when I went to the bathroom and stuff, I went and looked at it. And then I got this one, which is the Queen, and it's from her coronation in 1953. So I'm not sure if that's how old the tin is. It's a nice hinged tin. I didn't want the tin. I'm going to show, well, the tin is lovely, but that's not what I was after. In this tin, I've kind of pulled them apart, which has been annoying for you guys to see how they were. It came with some lovely vintage ribbon and trim. Big black kind of spool with, what is it? Linen thread. It's really thick. It's really good thread. This has fallen apart. A little box. I'm such a sucker for a little box of some old vintage little kind of cottons. Very sweet. Oh, there's one more that would have been in there. Lovely cream grosgrain ribbon, which is beautiful, which will be lovely in a project. This little, like, I'm not sure what that is, if it was a brooch or, I'm not sure, but it's missing one of its kind of diamantes or whatever those things are. It's quite sweet. It would be lovely in a slow stitch project. These 2 buttons, which I'm sure are wonderful, but I do not like at all. So I'm not going to be holding on to those. And actually, I think that was in the other one. This lovely thread measuring tape. And that will be lovely. I'm going to cut that up. I'm really sorry. I'm going to cut that up and put it into slow stitching projects because I think it'll be fantastic. And then the thing that I bought the tin for, so this was the royal kind of tin, was this darning mushroom. It's bakelite. As you saw, it kind of goes like this. And you can put other things in there as well. And then in here, that undoes, and you can put your needles in there. And there are actually some old pins in there. But so I have recently, and I'm going to show you in this video actually, started collecting my darning mushrooms. And not super recently. I've had some for a while. But I've kind of become obsessed with them lately. Now I can't get this back on properly. And sorry, our neighbours are putting in, what are they putting in? Solar panels, and that's being a bit loud. Now I can't put that on properly so it's not fitting away. But how cool is that beautiful darning mushroom? Now in that one as well, I think there was this trim, the Broderie Anglaise, and this, which is quite grey at the moment, but I think this will soak up and come up quite lovely. And it's got lovely butterflies on it, but the lace on the edge is quite lovely too. And one last thing, I think it had this in it as well. Now that whole tin, the Queen tin with the bakelite darning mushroom with those vintage linens, with the linen thread, that whole thing, and with these as well, was $25. So that is an absolute bargain. So the sewing box sometimes has real bargains, and sometimes it's, you know, not quite so bargainy. So that was one tin. And then the second tin was this one. So it's very lovely. I really like the tin. And this one was $15 and it included some threads. Always helpful, always useful. Lovely pack of old needles, which I like for photos, but also just, I love this old packaging. This is why I actually, well, the tin and this, I could see this is beautiful, quite dirty or like, you know, marked up with age. Beautiful bobbin lace. And so that was in that tin. And then 2 bits of embroidery. This one's quite lovely, not finished on the edge, it's not finished. And then this one, which it's a little bit more naive, quite sweet. And on this side, it's got a big stain, but it's a good cutter. And I think it had this little embroidery hoop in there, which also is not my kind of thing. And this bit of lace, which, you know, I might use for something. I might cut out some of those motifs, or I might give to somebody else. It might be in a kit, who knows. Anyway, this one was $15. So they're the 2 tins that I bought from the sewing basket, and that is the completion of everything I bought from the Sydney Craft and Quilt Fair. But whilst I was there, as I said, Sarah was there helping me. Hold 2 seconds, I'm just gonna, this stripe, kind of the non-diagonal of this line is driving me bonkers. Okay, I've just moved my camera a bit and I hope that's better. Sarah showed me and let me take a few bits of Rachel's beautiful linens. So these are made by Rachel of Roxy Creations, and they're just, oh, they're really beautiful. So this little rose on linen, lovely bit of writing and words. This is just very sweet. I love that. Some more writing on linen. And then these are some pages that Rachel and her husband Steffi put together. So, you know, with all beautiful bits and pieces that Rachel has gathered. I think that one's my favourite, but I'm not sure. They're all beautiful. So I'll be using them in something. This one's on linen, this one's on cotton. I think I prefer the linen, but the cotton's lovely too. When I'm stitching, I like the extra weight of linen often. So they were gifted to me by Rachel and Sarah, which are just, I'm so lucky and I feel very fortunate for that. Recently at an op shop, I found this little Kakashi doll. Now, I have somehow become a collector of these. I'm quite excited to look for some in the wild in Japan when we're there later this year. But this one was very sweet and it had a real surprise because it opens up and inside is this really tiny one. I'm going to get that to focus for you. I don't know. There you go. Really tiny little, and they're both bobbleheads. And on the bottom, they're just stamped with Made in Japan. I think this was $5 at an op shop. So I'm thrilled with that. It's probably out of focus, I'm really sorry. It's very lovely and it will add to my collection. So I tend to like the little ones. So you can see there, that's just, you know, in the palm of my hand. It's very little. Okay, so that was found at an op shop. Next thing I picked up this month was some beautiful wooden thread reels, and I got these from Marketplace. Now, my friend Beck, also called Beck, often finds me these at really good prices. She's a master finder, but I picked these ones up because I had 5 of these variegated threads. Now, until Beck found me one, I'd never seen them before. So I was thrilled to pick up some more. Lots of lovely threads there. They did not come in the tin. I think they were $30 for all of this, plus I would have paid post, which would have been $11 within Australia. And in the past, I have thrown out these, like, don't hate me for it, these old vintage kind of paper cotton reels, and I now love them. So I was thrilled that there were a couple of those in there too. That was a find off Marketplace, and I'm just going to show you something else from Marketplace. Hopefully, one sec. Found it. This was some lovely fabric that I picked up off Marketplace as well. It's relatively, you can see there's quite a few folds of it. It's cotton, it just burnt a little bit. It burns as cotton. Lovely vintage fabric that just floated in my boat. I will probably wash this because it's a bit, it doesn't feel clean. Like it's been stored for what, 80 years probably, but I'd say it's about 50s, 1950s, but I'll probably give it a wash so that it's nice and clean. And there's quite a lot of it. So it might be one of the fabrics that goes into the, like I include in each of my bi-monthly fabric subscriptions from the shop a little vintage piece as well. And I've got enough of this one. So it's hard to find bits that are big enough to include one for all the people. But there is enough of this one. So I think might go into that. It's lovely. And depending on how you cut that, it would be quite different. So that was great. Okay, so that's my Marketplace finds. And then I've got some op shop finds. I found this lovely chicken scratch embroidery with the little dogs on it. A little apron, half apron. Always pick these up, and I include them in kits when I make the Edie quilt kits, because I used them in both of mine. You know, maybe the dog in parts of it, definitely this little bit. I love the old ginghams, so I always pick those up if I can. I will have paid, I don't know what I will have paid for that, actually. I can't remember. You find them in a variety of prices. I've seen online sellers now, like just on Facebook Marketplace and stuff, selling them for $25, which I think is excessive. But there you go. So that one I picked up. I also picked up a little box. And it's a little bit kind of squashed, but it's very lovely, of beautiful crochet yarn in this beautiful colour, like that ecru colour, which we'll definitely use in slow stitching. And look, they were making this beautiful thing, bit of crochet, in a Coats crochet box. So that also came from an op shop, and that was $5. People often are like, you know, how do you find all this stuff? It's time and it's looking. I love the search. So if you are wanting it as well, it's taking the time to go looking for it, I guess. And then a couple of linens, beautiful linens as well from op shops. So these ones I love with the edges like this. They're really lovely in the needle books that I've been liking to make, but also cut out for slow stitching. So I'll always pick up a beautiful cream linen like this. I will have paid, so when I'm picking up from an op shop, I'm pretty particular about what kind of price I'm going to pay. I really hate that they've become really expensive. I found a little op shop that had these little ones at $1 each, and really pleased with that. I think I paid a bit more for that, but I thought it was quite sweet. I didn't notice that it had like a little stamp on it here, but cute. And I think that is it from general op shots. We might have some more. I'm going to show you now. Hold on. Okay. On top of going to just normal op shops, I also, because I was in Sydney on the way home, stopped into the sewing box in Balmain and I picked up a number of things. Now, interestingly, I thought that the pricing at the Craft and Quilt Fair was far better than, so those two tins that I got, one for 25 and one for 15, than I found at the sewing op shop. I did still buy some stuff. And this one was $4. And see, it's quite marked and needs a good soak. I do love the drawn thread work and just, you know, it's got a really nice feel to it. So, I don't know, that had to come home with me. And then this one is on cotton, not linen. It's got beautiful white work, which I thought would be lovely in any variety of slow stitch things. And some more down here, and I'm not sure what it was. It's come apart from something. Like you can see here, it was seamed. This one was also $4 from the sewing basket in Balmain. I also picked up this, and it doesn't have a price on it, and I don't know how much I paid for it. It is an unworked Semco embroidery like this. I'm going to have a go at it. Not in those colours, but I'm going to have a go at this unworked one. So pick that one up. But there's 3 little books of transfers. I just thought, I don't know, they were so sweet. And this one's got like elephants and things in it. It's got little lambs and rabbits. I'm not even sure how these work, so I have to Google how to do that. Baby wear transfer, this has hardly got anything in it. And another baby wear. Some lovely little bits in there. So I thought I might, like I liked the paper. I just liked how they looked. But I also thought I might use some of those patterns to do some work in maybe some of the textile collages I do. This also came from the sewing basket. All of this stuff in front of you actually came from the sewing basket. It's a card, I'm not sure how much is on there, of old rickrack. It's kind of quite small. It was $10. That's not a fantastic price in my opinion, but I do love the colour. It's not something that you'll pick up readily now. I like the vintage colouring of it, and I actually really like the really worn cardboard that it's on as well. I love this vintage green. So sets of 3 serviettes, with drawn thread work and a bit of white work embroidery on the green. They were $4 for 3, and I've got 2 sets there. So happy to get those. They'll be lovely, either as a base or in needle books. So you might see those in kits. Pick this up from the sewing basket. I've lost its price. It's very lovely. It's in really good nick actually. So I'm not sure of the price of this one, but I love the cross stitch and I love the design of that, and I actually really love that edging of it too. This also from the sewing basket, no price on it, so not sure. Little pocket with embroidery in a basket, and this one was $2 from the sewing basket. So I love that one. It's beautiful. It'll be really good in a horsewhip for a container, like not a container, a little pocket, or maybe in a needle book. Very thrilled to get that. This was my favourite. So you know I've got plans, if you've watched some of these, to make a strawberry, some of these being my YouTubes, a strawberry quilt with vintage textiles. And this is a really lovely strawberry embroidery. There's 2 little bits of it, so a smaller one and a large one. And together, they were $8. lovely vintage fabric, also from the sewing basket. It's 2 meters, 85 centimeters wide, $20, and it's got a little thing on there saying burns as natural, which is really handy. So it's cotton, hopefully. And look, to be honest, I'm not sure where these came from, but I love beautiful, fine crochet work like that or lace work. This one's really gorgeous. I'll pick those up at some point too. Whilst I was at the sewing basket, I picked up some threads. Now, I don't actually think that this is particularly good value. I'm not sure. You can buy a new one of these for about $2. So probably, I mean, you know, for 10 of them, it's $20 if you're buying new, about, I think. But I picked it up purely for this one, which is an anchor thread, but the green on that just is very beautiful to me. So I was pleased to have that. You know, the rest of the threads will be great. I don't have any pricing on these. I like these kind of cottons for in my slow stitch kits. So I think that's why I've picked those up. And then I wanted to try, without a big investment, storing my threads like this, because I'm still having trouble with my threads. So this was $20 at the sewing basket. It's got some interesting kind of cottons, some DMCs, they're numbered. It's lovely. Anyway, $20. I'm going to try this out for slow stitching. 12 linen napkins with lovely kind of cut work and embroidery. Now, I think these are hand done. They're really lovely. Maybe not the edging, but this part of it. I thought these would be great bases for textile collage. So I picked them up for those. There was 12 of them, maybe 10 of them for $12 or 12 of them for $10. So about $1 each, which is fantastic value. And when you see serviettes, that's something that you can do with them, use them as the base. And just, they're beautiful linen. That's a good price though. And last thing I got from there, I can't even see it, it's so giant. Hold on 2 secs. I can't. Is this sewing basket. It's broken. I'm a sucker for the sewing baskets. This was $12. These 6 linen, Irish linen, brand new, like they're placemats, I got from eBay, and I was the only bidder. I think they are just lovely and that they would be beautiful needlebook covers. So I picked them up for that purpose. Sometimes I like it when I can get more than one thing, so it allows me to curate something kind of similar, like a number of packs at once, because the packs take forever to put together. They're lots of fun to put together, but they also, excuse me, I've got the hiccups, take a while to put together. So I thought this was very pretty, and that's, as I said, off eBay. While we're on eBay, maybe I think I got this quilt, and this is my piece that I'm keeping and will use. I have included, so lots of this sold at the Craft and Quilt Fair, but as needlebook kits, and there might still be some online. I listed some online. I think I've probably maybe got a few more, but just beautiful old fabrics, beautiful old stitching, just very pretty. So that's my little bit of that, and that was also off eBay. I probably was awake at 2 a.m. to win that. And then I also got, and I'll show you this differently at some point, this stunning quilt top from eBay. So this is just divine. Solids with, it's a bit like the Vintage Stars quilt that was designed by Everyday Quilts that I'm making at the moment. A bit, but not exactly, but with a solid and a star in the center, and then it's got this further star on the outside. Just beautiful old fabrics, like really lovely. So I won't be cutting this up. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It's in really good nick. It's been hand stitched. You can see there on the blue. It's in really good nick. It's got some beautiful fabrics. I probably will use it as a decoration item at the new shop. Thought that was beautiful. And not really, like, you know, I don't really love purple, but this is, I would say, is more lilac. Just making sure you can see it. But I don't know. When I found that, I was quite excited. What else have I got to show you? Hold 2 secs. These were an Etsy purchase. I cannot remember the seller. I'm really sorry. I want to say it's Vtgfabrics. I think they come from Europe somewhere. I saw this one and really wanted it because, you know, I love green. But I do like it. I like it a lot, and I actually think it will be lovely in things. But because I was paying shipping, I decided I'd include this one, which is my standout fave. It's beautiful. This is almost a polished cotton, like a lightly polished cotton. Beautiful. Included this one, which I do like the stripe. So I'm not, like, this is fine, but it's actually this stripe that I like here, and I think that would be very sweet fussy cut. So I picked that up for that one. And then a beautiful low volume vintage with the pink and the brown, which, you know, floats my boat. So they were from an Etsy seller, as I said. And I cannot remember who I got these from, and I would share it with you. These are some bits of beautiful feed sack. It was an Instagram seller, and I want to say she's Sunny something, but I cannot find her now. And I think you know how your phone just unfollows things or follows things randomly on Instagram? I think that must have been what's happened to me, because I'm really thrilled with these purchases. They weren't cheap, but they weren't super expensive for these little bits of feed sack. And she messaged me and said, oh, the postage is, you know, $13 US. Are you willing to pay that? And I was like, I am actually, for these tiny little bits of fabric. But they just are really lovely. I like this one. This is a fake quilted look. So it's got the shading and, you know, beautiful florals. So do love a bit of feed sack. Very happy with these little scraps from an Etsy seller. Now this is, sorry, not an Etsy seller, the last one. It was from an Instagram seller. And this is also from an Instagram seller called Mac and Morgan, one word, in Australia. So this lovely seller tends to sell French things. And this is 2 little parcels here. Now, so all of this came in one parcel. It wasn't, so it's lovely green grosgrain ribbon, some embroidery transfers, which, you know, are quite lovely. This is quite pretty. Not quite my thing, but I think it would be beautiful in something. I'm not quite sure what, but it would be. Some gold buttons and some little thread cards, which they were just in the kit. I was quite pleased to pick up a little wooden spool, like a tiny one of variegated thread, and there was this little blue one as well. But I picked up this for this lovely darning mushroom, which is a mushroom, and apparently from France. But I just like the mushroomness of it, and I love the vintageness. Now, you saw earlier in the video that I've picked up the Bakelite one from the sewing basket, but I will also show you what I'm doing with these. Okay, and from Mac and Morgan as well, because I was paying postage anyway. This is a print that has been painted over the top of, and I thought that might be lovely framed up in the store. It's got a little signing from Francois here. So that seller is, again, Mac and Morgan. I will try and link some of these things. I always forget to link any of it, and I don't, like, to be fair, I'm not sure that I even know how to. Okay, another Instagram seller, and this is my friend Sue. So Sue designed the Gosling quilt that I wrote the pattern for, and I met her from buying Vintage Fabric. So she will sometimes include for me, when I purchase things, some beautiful, beautiful additions. Now, the bottom of this tin, like, it's a bit damaged on the front, but just gorgeous. Like, damaged in terms of, like warped. But the bottom of the tin was holding those threads that I showed earlier. So she included that, which was just a little gift for me. She had a little bit of this pink that I begged from her. So I made this needle book with it, and I made some kits, and they sold like so quickly. This might be my favorite ever of the needle books that I have made. So she had this tiny little bit of fabric, which we agreed that we would swap. And then I said, oh, I don't want to cut up the eiderdown that I got that she wanted a piece of, but I might cut it up. I don't know. But anyway, next time I find something that I know she will love, that's the swap. We're doing this pink fabric for something I find. I purchased from her this piece of green. I'm not sure if it's Sanderson. It's Winster, a Bevis fabric, so it's not Sanderson. It's got these beautiful brown, not actually that, like it's an olivey green. That's not really my cup of tea, but these roses are just beautiful, in particular this one with the pink, so something slow stitchy with that. And I also purchased from her these fabrics, so this one, which just really pretty. I thought maybe that might be good needlebook kits. So I'm not always buying for myself. I'm sometimes buying to kit up, sometimes for myself. Sometimes for myself and kits. This, she said, was not a particularly old fabric, but I thought it was really lovely. And so I purchased a little bit of that. Then I think she maybe gifted me this, or I might have purchased it. I'm not even sure. I don't know what I do. All the things, all the time. So it's got a sheen on it. So it's not going to go in a quilt, but it will be lovely as a needlebook cover. How many needlebooks does one woman need? I'm not even sure. Now, these bits were gifted by Sue. So she knows I love a bit of neon. And she'll save little bits for me, and then some hankies because she knows I use those, and she knows I love an apron, and this one, and this pretty box. And so, you know, I will probably put some vintage textiles in this old, I would say it's a chocolate box. Don't know. Anyway, just lovely things. So Sue gifted those to me, and she sells on Instagram. Her handle on Instagram is the Vintage Linen Press, and she does a sale every 2 weeks on a Thursday. And have we reached the end? I'm pretty sure. Oh no, I've got something more to show you. How terrible is that? One sec. So when I sold some birds and little bluebirds at the Sydney Craft and Quilt Fair, and Sarah bought some of them from the Roxy sisters. But then I got really worried that she was going to do something with birds that I would need. So when I was leaving Sydney, I went to a couple of vintage shops to look for furniture pieces for the new shop. And I found these little doilies. Now, these were not cheap. I think they were $15 each. They're not in perfect condition. They need a wash, then iron. I do like this one that it says Lola on it. So Lola has made that one. I don't know. I don't know why. I just decided I needed them, and they got bought. From a different vintage shop, I found this giant cotton reel. How cool is that? Shop prop. Not sure. Might sell it. Don't know. It's a really good price because the little stall it was at was on half price. And then this little vintage pincushion. Now, I don't think it is actually vintage. I think it's vintage fabric and somebody's put it together. I would say that is hot glue gunned in there, but it was just very cute little pincushion. I am a sucker for pincushions. So purchased that. I think it was, I want to say $20, but I'm not sure. And then the last thing I have to share with you is, it's probably a bit hard to show. Hold on, hold on. So, you know, my high-tech studio where I'm sitting on the ground, it is these little chippy shells, little pink drawers. They will be a shop prop at the new shop. There's no room in the current shop. So I might turn you around. I've just been chatting away for about 5 minutes and there was no recording happening. I'm in the study on the floor where I've just done my high-tech setup. You can see that this room has still got lots of things in it. Otto's in the background in his sick bed. Hi, Otts. I've been really unwell for a couple of days. He's feeling unwell now. My oldest son is also feeling unwell. Like, nobody's testing positive to COVID, but just we feel a bit shitty and we want to get well because we're visiting my mum next week and we can't take sickness down to a nursing home. Anyway, the living room's back to normal, which is exciting, but this room is still a disaster. I hope you liked seeing all the finds that I found in the last little bit, about a month or so. I'm quite impressed with my haul, actually. Like, when I look at it all like that, there's probably more bits and pieces around as well. But anyway, this is where we're at, and I hope you're having fun stitching or finding beautiful vintage things. Happy stitching, everybody. Hold on, you've got an epilogue. So I showed you these 2 darning mushrooms, vintage ones. So I've been on, look at this one. It is giant. Here's my hand. Look how big it is. I have been on a massive kind of finding treasure hunt. I've been collecting them for a while, but I've really gone into them. I want to get a beautiful old wire basket and put them in as a display in the new shop. So one was, you know, a couple have been in my shop for a while, even these ones with the kind of the metal that holds your darning in place. I've got a couple of painted ones, including, none of those. Where's the painted one? This one Beck found for me, which I really like. A couple I've bought over from England. Like, I have been spending a lot of money on darning mushrooms, basically, because they can be really expensive. These, though, all of these I found at a local antique centre to me for about $10 or $15 each, and it's called Coliseum Antiques. So super thrilled with that. Anyway, this is my collection, and I want to put them in a wire basket. And I'm pretty sure that I've seen that somewhere, and for the life of me, I can't think where. But maybe just on Pinterest or something, like a kind of an image of that. So I need to find myself an old little wire basket to put those on as a display. And I would like to pick up some more coloured ones, but they're not easy to find and they're not cheap as well. So there's a little epilogue in case you're obsessed with darning mushrooms as well. Happy stitching.